Imagine waking up tomorrow with a supercomputer worth billions of dollars. This machine can solve any problem, create unlimited wealth, transform your body, and manifest your deepest desires. Now, what if I told you that you already own something infinitely more powerful? That's right. It's that extraordinary technology sitting between your ears, your mind, the most sophisticated, untapped resource you'll ever possess. Let me take you back to a moment that changed my life forever. I was standing on the edge of financial ruin, my business crumbling, my relationships in shambles, and my self-worth at rock bottom. I had everything society told me I needed for success: the education, the connections, the opportunities. But I was missing the one thing that mattered most: mastery over my own mind. I was like a pilot trying to fly a jumbo jet without ever learning the controls, hoping somehow I'd reach my destination. That's when I discovered the fundamental truth that would transform not only my life, but the lives of thousands I've worked with since. Success isn't something you chase. It's something you attract by becoming the person who thinks, acts, and believes at a level worthy of that success. The game changer wasn't finding new opportunities. It was training my mind to recognize and seize the opportunities that were already there. You see, in this room right now, we have people from all walks of life. Some of you are entrepreneurs dreaming of scaling your business. Others are professionals seeking that next level in your career. Maybe you're an artist yearning to express your creativity fully, or perhaps you're someone who knows deep down that you're capable of so much more than what you're currently achieving. The common thread that connects all of us: the untapped potential sitting in our minds. Here's what fascinates me. Neuroscience shows us that the human brain can process up to 400 billion bits of information per second, yet we consciously use only about 2,000 of those bits. That's like having a Ferrari and never taking it out of first gear. The gap between where you are now and where you want to be isn't a gap of capability, it's a gap in mental training. Think about this. Every single breakthrough in human history started as a thought in someone's mind. Every innovation, every company, every transformation began with someone who decided to harness the power of their thinking in a focused, deliberate way. The Wright brothers had to believe in flight before they could achieve it. Jobs had to envision a computer in every home before Apple could become a reality. And you must train your mind to see and believe in your future success before you can manifest it. But here's the crucial distinction that most people miss. This isn't about positive thinking alone. This is about systematic, strategic mental training that rewires your brain for success. It's about creating neural pathways so powerful that success becomes not just possible, but inevitable. The same way an athlete trains their body for peak performance, you must train your mind for peak achievement. Today, we're going to embark on a journey together. I'm going to show you exactly how to access and unleash the full power of your mind. We're going to break through the limitations that have held you back, shatter the beliefs that have kept you playing small, and install the mental software that will automatically draw success into your life. The question isn't whether you have what it takes. You were born with it. The question is, are you ready to learn how to use it? Take a moment right now. Feel the energy in this room. Look around at the faces of people who, just like you, have made the decision to transform their lives by mastering their minds. Let me share something that might shock you. The average person has over 60,000 thoughts per day. But here's the real kicker. 95% of those thoughts are exactly the same as yesterday, and 80% of them are negative. We're living in a world where our minds are being hijacked by an overwhelming flood of information, stress, and digital chaos. The statistics are staggering. Stress-related ailments cost nations billions in healthcare, lost productivity, and human potential. The average person now has an attention span shorter than a goldfish, just 8 seconds. 8 seconds! That's not just a number, it's a crisis of consciousness. I want you to imagine trying to build a fortune with a calculator that's broken, or trying to navigate through an unknown city with a compass that spins randomly. Sounds absurd, right? Yet that's exactly what most of us are doing with our untrained minds. We're trying to achieve extraordinary success while our mental software is filled with bugs, viruses, and outdated programming. Let me tell you about Sarah, a brilliant executive I worked with. She had everything going for her: Harvard MBA, decade of experience, incredible network, but she was drowning. Panic attacks in the boardroom, insomnia that left her exhausted, and a constant feeling that she was one step away from being exposed as a fraud. Her mind had become her prison instead of her power source. Sound familiar to anyone in this room? But here's where it gets interesting. Sarah's story isn't just about stress or anxiety. It's about what happens when we never learn to operate the most powerful tool we possess. Think about it. We spend years learning about mathematics, history, and science. We study market trends, investment strategies, and business models. But when was the last time someone taught you how to actually use your mind? When did anyone show you how to install the mental operating system for success? The cost of this oversight is astronomical. It shows up as the business that never gets started, the relationship that falls apart, the innovation that stays locked in your head, the wealth that remains just out of reach. It manifests as that gnawing feeling that you're capable of so much more, but something invisible is holding you back. I see it every day. Brilliant people who are technically competent but mentally crippled. Entrepreneurs who can explain complex business strategies but can't control their own fear. Leaders who can manage huge teams but can't manage their own thoughts. Athletes who can perform incredible physical feats but crumble under mental pressure. But here's the moment everything changes: when you realize that mental chaos isn't your natural state. When you understand that the scattered, unfocused, doubt-filled mind isn't your mind's optimal operating system. It's just the default setting you've never learned to upgrade. Let me share what happened with Sarah. Over 6 months, she learned to install a new mental operating system. She discovered that anxiety wasn't her enemy. It was just misdirected energy she hadn't learned to channel. She found out that her racing thoughts weren't a curse. They were creative power waiting to be harnessed. The same mind that had created her prison became her launching pad. Today, Sarah doesn't just manage her company, she's revolutionizing her industry. The panic attacks, gone. The insomnia, replaced with deep, rejuvenating sleep. The imposter syndrome, transformed into unshakable confidence. But the real transformation wasn't in what she achieved, it was in who she became through the process of mental mastery. Your wake-up call is right here, right now. Every limitation you're experiencing, every goal that remains just out of reach, every dream that feels impossible, it all comes down to one thing: the way you're using or not using your mind. The good news, just like Sarah, you can learn to upgrade your mental operating system. You can install the thought patterns, emotional states, and success protocols that automatically generate extraordinary results. The time for average thinking is over. The era of letting your mind run on autopilot is finished. Right now, in this room, we're going to begin the process of turning your mind from your biggest obstacle into your greatest asset. Let's dive in. Here's the fundamental truth that most people never grasp. Your mind isn't just part of the success equation. It's the command center of everything you'll ever achieve. Think about this for a moment. Every single achievement in human history started as a single thought in someone's mind. Every fortune, every breakthrough, every transformation began with a mental pattern that defied the existing reality. Let me blow your mind with some cutting-edge neuroscience. Scientists have discovered that your brain is constantly rewiring itself through a process called neuroplasticity. Every thought you think, every belief you hold, every emotional pattern you run creates physical changes in your brain structure. You're literally sculpting your brain with every mental choice you make. This isn't motivational fluff. This is hard science that proves you have the power to redesign your mental architecture for success. But here's where it gets really interesting. Research shows that your brain can't tell the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When Olympic athletes mentally rehearse their performances, they activate the same neural circuits as when they physically perform. This means you can literally program your brain for success before you even step into the arena of action. Let me share something profound I've observed working with thousands of high performers. Success leaves clues, and the most obvious clue is this: extraordinary achievers don't just think differently, they think systematically. They've learned to harness what I call the compound effect of mental training. Just like compound interest in finance, small, consistent improvements in your thinking patterns create exponential results over time. Consider Michael, a struggling entrepreneur I worked with. He was working 80-hour weeks, constantly hustling, but barely keeping his business afloat. His mind was a chaos of stress, fear, and scattered focus. But here's what transformed everything. He learned that success isn't about thinking more, it's about thinking differently. He discovered that 10 minutes of focused, strategic mental training was worth more than 10 hours of scattered effort. Over 3 months, Michael devoted himself to systematic mental training. Every morning, before touching his phone or checking emails, he spent 30 minutes programming his mind for success. He learned to access peak mental states at will. He mastered the art of strategic visualization. He installed new belief systems that aligned with his goals rather than his fears. The results? His business tripled in 6 months, but more importantly, he was working less, sleeping better, and operating from a place of calm confidence instead of desperate hustling. The external success was simply a reflection of his internal transformation. Now let's address the myth that's probably running through some of your minds right now. The myth of overnight success. We've all seen those stories. The entrepreneur who suddenly strikes it rich, the artist who becomes an overnight sensation, the professional who skyrockets to the top of their field. But here's what those stories don't show you: the years of mental preparation that preceded the breakthrough. Every overnight success I've ever studied or worked with had one thing in common. They spent years training their minds before their moment of opportunity arrived. They understood that success isn't something you chase, it's something you attract by becoming the right person mentally. They knew that when preparation meets opportunity, it looks like luck to the outside world. This brings us to another crucial truth. Your mind is either working for you or against you. There's no neutral ground. Every thought pattern you're running right now is either moving you toward success or away from it. Every belief you hold is either expanding your possibilities or limiting them. Every emotional state you cultivate is either energizing your dreams or draining them. Think about this. Your mind processes about 70,000 thoughts per day. That's 70,000 opportunities to strengthen or weaken your success programming. That's 70,000 chances to build neural pathways that support your goals or reinforce limitations. The question isn't whether you're training your mind. You're doing it right now, in this moment. The question is, are you training it deliberately, strategically, and in alignment with your highest aspirations? Here's what I want you to understand deeply. Mastering your mind isn't just about positive thinking or setting goals. It's about creating a mental operating system so powerful that success becomes the only possible outcome. It's about training your brain to automatically spot opportunities, generate solutions, and maintain peak performance states. The most exciting part? This isn't a talent you're born with. It's a skill you can develop. Just like you can train your body to run a marathon, you can train your mind to achieve extraordinary success. The key is understanding that it's a process, not an event. It's about consistent, strategic mental training that compounds over time. You're about to learn the exact system for this transformation. We're going to break it down into clear, actionable steps that you can start implementing today. But first, you need to make a decision. Are you ready to stop leaving your mental training to chance? Are you prepared to become as strategic with your mind as you are with your business, your finances, or your physical health? Because once you understand and apply what we're about to cover, everything changes. your success becomes not just possible, but inevitable. Now that you understand the fundamental truth about mental mastery, let's dive into the practical framework that will transform your potential into reality. I call this the 3 pillars of mental mastery. Think of these pillars as the load-bearing structures of your success. When all 3 are strong and aligned, they create an unshakable foundation for extraordinary achievement. Pillar 1, clarity. Let me ask you something. Have you ever tried driving through dense fog at high speed? That's exactly what most people are doing with their lives and careers, moving fast but without clear visibility. The first pillar, clarity, is about cutting through the mental fog that keeps you from seeing your true potential and path. I worked with a brilliant tech entrepreneur named David, who was the classic example of massive action without clear direction. He was launching multiple projects, pursuing countless opportunities, and burning through resources at an alarming rate. His mind was like a powerful engine attached to a steering wheel that wouldn't stop spinning. Sound familiar to anyone? Here's what transformed everything for David: learning the art of mental clarity. It starts with what I call the vision creation protocol. Instead of setting vague goals, you learn to create crystal clear mental movies of your desired future. This isn't just daydreaming. It's strategic visualization that engages all your senses and creates new neural pathways in your brain. The second component of clarity is what I call goal crystallization. Most people's goals are like clouds, constantly shifting and lacking solid form. Through a specific mental training process, you learn to transform those cloudy aspirations into crystal clear targets that your brain can lock onto with laser precision. When David mastered this, his scattered efforts consolidated into focused force. Within 6 months, he had shuttered his non-essential projects and turned his primary venture into a multi-million-dollar success. But clarity isn't just about vision and goals, it's about decision-making too. I'll teach you the mental decluttering technique that eliminates decision fatigue and allows you to make choices with unstoppable confidence. Imagine having absolute certainty about which opportunities to pursue and which to ignore. That's the power of true mental clarity. Pillar 2, focus. Here's a shocking statistic. The average person's mind wanders 47% of the time. That means nearly half of your mental energy is being wasted on thoughts that don't serve your success. The second pillar, focus, is about reclaiming that lost power and channeling it into what matters most. Let me introduce you to Maria, a senior executive who was drowning in distractions. Despite working 14-hour days, she felt like she was barely keeping her head above water. Her mind was like a television with a broken remote, constantly switching channels without her control. Through the deep work protocol, Maria learned to access states of intense mental focus at will. This isn't about working longer hours, it's about working with absolute mental precision. You'll learn the exact techniques to eliminate distractions, maintain unwavering concentration, and achieve more in 3 focused hours than most people accomplish in a week. The focus pillar includes what I call the peak state access method. Think of your mind like a radio. It can tune into different frequencies of performance. Most people leave their mental station set to whatever happens to be playing. I'll show you how to deliberately tune into the frequency of peak performance, accessing flow states that multiply your productivity and creativity. But here's what makes this pillar truly transformative. It's not just about focusing harder, it's about focusing smarter. You'll master the art of strategic attention allocation, learning exactly where to direct your mental energy for maximum impact. Maria used these techniques to completely restructure her work approach. She now accomplishes more in 6 focused hours than she used to in 14 scattered ones. Pillar 3, resilience. The final pillar is perhaps the most crucial, resilience. Here's why. Success isn't just about reaching high levels of performance, it's about maintaining them despite challenges, setbacks, and obstacles. Mental resilience is what transforms temporary peaks into permanent elevations. I remember working with Alex, a professional athlete who had all the physical skills but would crumble under pressure. His mind was his greatest weakness until he learned the art of emotional regulation and stress optimization. Through specific mental training techniques, he learned to transform pressure into power, using stress as fuel for peak performance rather than letting it become a destructive force. The resilience pillar includes what I call the failure reframing protocol. This isn't about positive thinking. It's about rewiring your brain's response to challenges. You'll learn to develop a growth mindset so powerful that setbacks become stepping stones, obstacles become opportunities, and challenges become catalysts for growth. But here's the game-changing element of resilience. It's not just about bouncing back, it's about bouncing forward. Through the strategic stress utilization technique, you'll learn to use challenges as your mental gym, building stronger neural pathways with every obstacle you overcome. Alex used these methods to not only overcome his performance anxiety, but to actually perform better under pressure than in practice. The integration of these three pillars, clarity, focus, and resilience, creates what I call the mental mastery matrix. When all three are working in harmony, you develop an unstoppable psychological momentum. Your mind becomes like a high-performance sports car with precision steering, clarity, massive horsepower, focus, and an indestructible frame, resilience. But here's the crucial understanding. These pillars aren't theoretical constructs. They're practical tools that you can start implementing immediately. In the next section, we're going to dive into the exact blueprint for putting these pillars into action. You'll learn the specific morning routines, daily practices, and evening rituals that will strengthen these pillars until they become the foundation of your success. The question isn't whether these pillars work. They've been proven time and again with thousands of individuals across every field of endeavor. The question is, are you ready to build them in your own life? Are you prepared to move from random mental patterns to strategic mental mastery? Because once you do, everything changes. Let's explore exactly how to make that transformation happen. Now that you understand the three pillars, let's dive into the exact blueprint that will transform these concepts into daily reality. I call this the success integration system, and it's designed to rewire your neural pathways through strategic daily practices. This isn't about massive life overhauls, it's about precise, purposeful actions that compound over time to create extraordinary results. Let's start with your morning mental training. Here's a truth that transformed my life. The first 60 minutes after you wake up are when your brain is most receptive to programming. Think of it like wet cement. Whatever impressions you make during this time will harden and shape your entire day. Yet most people waste this precious window checking emails, scrolling through social media, or rushing through their morning in a stress-induced haze. Instead, I'm going to teach you what I call the Power Hour protocol. It starts with the priming sequence, a specific set of breathing exercises and physical movements that literally change your bloodstream chemistry, flooding your brain with clarity-enhancing hormones and neurotransmitters. This isn't just meditation, it's strategic mental state management. You'll learn the exact visualization sequence that Olympic athletes and billion-dollar entrepreneurs use to pre-program their day for success. We're talking about creating such vivid mental rehearsals that your brain literally can't distinguish them from reality. When you step into your day, your neural pathways are already primed for peak performance. But here's where most people go wrong with morning routines. They treat them like a checklist rather than a launching pad. Your morning mental training isn't about going through motions. It's about intentionally installing the mental software that will run your day. This includes the identity integration protocol, where you spend exactly 7 minutes embodying the thoughts, emotions, and physical states of your highest performing self. Now let's talk about your daily success rituals. This is where the real transformation happens. I'm going to teach you what I call state cycling, the art of deliberately moving between different peak performance states throughout your day. Imagine being able to access laser focus, creative flow, or unshakable confidence as easily as changing channels on a TV. You'll master the energy optimization grid, a simple but powerful tool for mapping your key activities to your natural energy rhythms. Most people fight against their biological peaks and valleys. You'll learn to surf them, maximizing your productivity while minimizing mental fatigue. One of my clients, a high-level executive named Jennifer, used these techniques to completely revolutionize her workday. Instead of being drained by back-to-back meetings, she learned to use micro-recovery periods. 2, 3-minute mental reset techniques that keep her operating at peak levels throughout the day. Her team started calling her the Energizer because she seemed to have unlimited mental stamina. The key is what I call progress pulsing, setting up regular triggers throughout your day that prompt you to assess and adjust your mental state. It's like having a personal mental performance coach that checks in with you every few hours. You'll learn the exact times to schedule these pulses for maximum impact. But perhaps the most crucial part of your daily practice is what I call win harvesting. Most people wait for massive achievements to celebrate, missing countless opportunities to reinforce success patterns in their brain. I'll show you how to identify and leverage micro-wins throughout your day, creating a constant stream of motivation-enhancing dopamine that fuels further success. Now let's talk about your evening integration practice, the most overlooked aspect of mental training. Your brain does its most important work while you sleep, consolidating learning and strengthening neural pathways. But you need to set it up for success. I'll teach you the evening power down protocol, a specific sequence of mental exercises that helps your brain process the day's experiences and prepare for tomorrow. This isn't just about reflection. It's about strategic review and integration. You'll learn to extract maximum learning from every experience, turning each day into a building block for greater success. The course correction component is crucial here. Most people either beat themselves up over failures or ignore them completely. You'll learn to use what I call the optimal learning loop, a specific method for processing challenges in a way that strengthens rather than weakens your mental game. One of the most powerful elements of your evening practice is the tomorrow preparation sequence. This isn't just about planning. It's about pre-programming your subconscious mind to work on your biggest challenges while you sleep. I've had clients solve complex business problems, develop creative breakthroughs, and make critical decisions simply by learning to properly instruct their subconscious mind before sleep. The final component of your evening practice is what I call gratitude amplification. But forget everything you know about gratitude practices. This is different. You'll learn to use gratitude as a tool for reinforcing success patterns in your brain, creating an upward spiral of positive expectation that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. This entire blueprint from morning mental training through daily success rituals to evening integration creates what I call success momentum. Each element builds upon the others, creating an unstoppable force of positive change in your life. But here's the key. You don't have to implement everything at once. Start with one practice, master it, then add another. Remember, we're not after perfection. We're after progress. The question isn't whether this blueprint works. I've seen it transform thousands of lives across every industry and background. The question is, are you ready to begin this journey? Are you prepared to stop leaving your mental training to chance and start approaching it with the strategic precision it deserves? Because once you do, everything changes. Your success becomes not just possible, but inevitable. I want you to realize something profound. Every obstacle you face is actually a signpost pointing toward your next breakthrough. The fears that have held you back, the doubts that have slowed you down, the challenges that have seemed insurmountable, these aren't your enemies. They're your training ground. Think about this. Every single person who's achieved extraordinary success faced the exact same mental barriers you're facing right now. The only difference? They developed the tools to transform those barriers into breakthroughs. And now, you have those same tools. You've learned the 3 pillars of mental mastery: clarity, focus, and resilience. You've discovered the power of strategic morning priming, daily success rituals, and evening integration. You now understand how to turn fear into fuel, doubt into determination, and obstacles into opportunities. But here's what matters most. This isn't just information. It's a transformation waiting to happen. The only question is, What will you do with it? Will you let these insights become just another set of good ideas, or will you turn them into your new operating system for success? Remember, your mind is either working for you or against you. There's no neutral ground. Every day you're either strengthening the neural pathways of success or reinforcing the patterns of limitation. The choice is yours. As you leave here today, I want you to make a decision. Decide that from this moment forward, your mind will be your greatest ally, not your biggest obstacle. Decide that mental mastery isn't just something you're interested in, it's something you're committed to. Because when you commit to training your mind with the same dedication that athletes train their bodies, something extraordinary happens. Success stops being a struggle and starts being inevitable. The time for average thinking is over. Your new life of mental mastery begins now.